Good morning in most parts of the world.
We're alive.
You still see this big 9 right here behind us because it is our 9th anniversary here at Brand Face. For those of you who don't know, we've been at this for 9 years. Actually, a lot more than that for me. A whole lot more. We won't get into that. A whole lot more than that for me. But it's a good year, guys. It's fantastic, and we're very, very blessed. And we just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you
to all the clients and people that are listening out there about building brands.
Yeah,
that's what we're going to talk about today. It's all we talk about. We just love it. It works. You need to do it. If you haven't, you need to get started. And we're going to teach you a lot about that here today.
Okay, so today we're going to actually talk about the difference between building a brand and growing a brand. So, I mean, you've consistently heard that it takes years to build a brand, right? But we disagree, of course. Brands grow over time. You know, that's one factor, right? But they can be built in just a few weeks. So let's dig into what we mean by that and exactly how we do it.
Yeah, let's start with defining the difference between building a brand and growing a brand. Building your brand means crafting the right message and image that you want to convey. It means defining who your ideal prospects are, what sets you apart from everyone else in your space, positioning yourself in that space, and creating all the messaging and the look that aligns with what you want to be known for.
Yep. And when we do that, guys, we look at 77 different criteria when we build somebody's personal brand. That's what we mean. And those are what we call the building blocks of a great brand. And that's probably a better way to remember building it versus growing it, right? Yeah. You can't grow something if you don't build it first. Why? Because you have to define what it is that you're trying to grow. So now let's define growing your brand, right? Growing your brand means promoting it, plain and simple. Growing it comes from promoting it, putting it out there. And when it comes to growing your brand, that's when you factor in time. However, as I said, time's not the only success factor. It's not even the main success factor that influences how big your brand grows.
No, it doesn't. We can name you hundreds of examples of people who've come into our program and started the process, and within the first week got business because of their brand. It happens all of the time. Successful brands do continue to grow over time, especially if you commit to it. We had a podcast yesterday. We were talking with a guy, and he was talking about the importance of committing to what it is that you're trying to do and how so many people fail at that commitment. If you stay committed to your brand, it's going to build over time. But the truth is that brands are actually grown through impressions, and that starts with one impression at a time. And so many times it leads to business instantaneously. The more you put your image and your message out there, the more prospects are exposed to it. So in other words, your brand grows every time you introduce yourself with your brand identifier, every time that you put that on social media, every time you share your story through an interview, every time you advertise your branding elements. Every one of those are impressions, and there are thousands of other impressions that you can do at no cost after you build a brand that promotes that brand out there and gets that brand growing.
Yeah. And I do want to say something about this because you get fired up about this a lot. People will say, okay, my brand is built. Now I don't have to prospect anymore, or I don't have to advertise. Yeah, that hurts Michael's feelings, right? And I understand why. I'll let you talk about this here. But I do want to say, you know, if you can build the greatest brand in the world, right? But it's like decorating for an elaborate party. If you don't send out the invitations, who's going to show up to your party? Yeah. So you do have to put it out there. You still have to prospect. You still have to advertise or market yourself. The reality of it is, if you brand yourself correctly, it's really dialed in and it's super clear, and you are, it's dialed in so much that you know exactly who you're speaking to and what you're saying to them and what's going to attract them, then you do absolutely end up spending less on your marketing over time. No, there's no question about it. We're never going to say don't advertise. It's not going to cost you anything to market, but there are a lot of free things that you can do. As Michael said, there's a whole lot. So, I mean, you know a lot about that.
Well,
You've
I
done
think
both. He's a big marketer, guys.
I'm a promoter. I've been a promoter since day one.
Yeah.
Listen, I spent $3.79 or something on a mechanical pencil in the 5th grade, and I sold it to Wayne Dutton for $9.50, and I never wanted to do anything else for the rest of my life. Right, because I recognize the fact that that business is built that way. But you when it comes to building your business, when it comes to growing, marketing, prospecting, things like that are very important to you. Even if you're a one-man shop, you still need to be able to do that. But your brand is everything that does that for you. Number one, it eliminates cold calls. It doesn't eliminate warm calls. But when you put your brand out there, as Tanya taught me 9 years ago, then people already know who you are when you call them. The odds are they know somebody that knows somebody that knows you, right? There is this connectivity with people. Remember the old game, how many degrees of separation are you from Kevin Bacon? Your brand works that way. It really does. I'm one, by the way. And it helps you to grow through those impressions. And there are very, very, very cheap or free ways that you can do that. Then what you do is you take the profit that you're generating and you start to spend money in the right places. And by having your brand dialed in, then all of a sudden you can get rid of that idiom that says marketing doesn't work, because marketing does work. But take it from a guy that's 31 years as an entrepreneur, working for himself. 22 of those years, I spent thinking I'm spending the money on marketing, but it's just not working. Okay. Along comes Tanya, teaches me about branding, builds my brand for me. And then all of a sudden, I got pie graphs that tell me exactly where my money's coming from, exactly how much money I'm spending, exactly what my return on that investment is. And then I can say, this works, this didn't work, spend more here, cut the expenses there, all of which is based around my brand. Mm-hmm. Okay. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of how it works. And you have to ask yourself, how and how often are you making those impressions that help you to get started? How often do you put your brand out there? How much content are you creating and sharing your story and your expertise? How present are you on social media? How are you demonstrating your expertise inside the right circles? Using and utilizing your brands. And like we said earlier, even down to shaking somebody's hand and telling them your brand identifier. Hi, I'm Michael Carr. I'm the Abundant Life Broker. All of a sudden, it doesn't matter if they remember Michael Carr. They will. But they remember Abundant Life Broker, and then they go, what does that mean? And then now they've asked a buying question, and I can say, look, I want to spend the rest of my life helping podcasters, authors, speakers, real estate agents to grow in the success that they desire based on the principles that I have learned over 31 years. Okay, well, tell me more. You see how it builds on impressions every time.
Does. Yeah. And when it comes to impressions, it's not only about the quantity of putting it out there over and over and over again. It's about putting it out there with the right customers and the right message. Okay. And that's what we mean by building your brand the right way before you can grow it, because you certainly don't want to grow it the wrong way. I mean, look at it. I come from the South. There's something down here called kudzu, right? So kudzu just like spreads everywhere. It's this awful vine that wraps itself around trees, and it's just everywhere out there, right? You can grow a whole heck of a lot of that. Yeah. Anytime you want to, but is it really what you want to be growing in your garden? Right. Okay. Don't have a kudzu brand, guys. And speaking of branding, I love your story about the mechanical pencil. That Wayne, he was your ideal customer.
He was my ideal customer.
He had to have that pencil, and he paid more than double. Almost 3 times what that pencil actually cost.
He had to have that pencil.
You see, yeah.
He had to have that pencil.
You want to reach people that have to have.
And I had to sell it to him.
To sell, guys.
And he's a great guy. And Wayne, if you're watching this, man, you're a good dude. You really are.
I love it. Yeah, but you got to know, supply and demand, baby.
Yep.
Supply and demand. Okay.
And listen, I know these principles, folks, and I talk about them because I've lived it. My brand was not dialed in. I didn't even know what a brand was. I knew in my business that I had a look and feel that I desired to put out to the public. And that was where my marketing expertise ended. Beyond that, it was just spending money and hoping that something stuck to the wall. One of the richest people I've ever been around, I asked him one time, how much should a company my size be spending in advertising? And he said, all of it. That was his answer. All of it, right? This guy touted as some kind of genius, right? That was his answer to it. Well, I learned from Tanya that there actually is an answer to that, and it's called building your brand. And then you know exactly how much money to spend based on the size of your company, and you know how much more to spend to grow it,
and where to spend it.
Right. So when I didn't have my brand dialed in, it just resulted in a lot of frustration. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of how am I going to make payroll, a lot of how am I going to make rent, a lot of what marketing do I need to cut? Because now there's a recession coming up. I don't think about those things anymore because the marketing works because the branding was done first. Okay. And I can just, my hand to the Lord, I can tell you every day, I talk about this with people all the time. I will talk to you about it. Contact us. I promise you, this is the only way to do it. This is the difference in growing something that is a wing and a prayer and growing something that actually is linear and buildable.
Beautiful. I like it when Michael just takes over and kills it.
I'm passionate about that.
You are passionate about it. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to pull a Jerry Lee Lewis in a minute, kick my chair out from under me, and I'll start laying it down.
I really want to see that. Okay. Well, I'll leave you guys with one more thing about this. Don't get caught into the build your brand for you kind of trap. Okay. Because there are a lot of marketing folks out there that say, we can help you build your brand. Let's build your brand through video, build your brand on your website, but really a lot of those companies are actually trying to sell you a product, right? A product or a marketing system or a marketing tool.
Like now, a website.
That's great. Of course you need those, and marketing tools, marketing systems, they're wonderful, right? But you want to make sure that you are separating the thought about building your brand first and using those tools to put your brand out there, to promote your brand. A website is a place where you promote your brand, not where you build it. You build it before you put it there.
Absolutely.
Right? So same with any other marketing system. You want an email marketing system, you want a funnel marketing system, you want all those things. Your brand has to be built first and then infused or put into that system to make that system perform at its peak level.
That includes everything. No need to run Google ads till you know what your brand is. No need to run Facebook ads until you know what your brand is. No need to buy billboards, radio commercials, TV, newspaper, periodicals, postcards until that brand is built, because you are putting the wrong message out there, and you need to dial that in, and we can show you how to do that.
Yep. Okay. So if you want to talk about building your personal brand so you can grow it, hit us up at discussyourbrand.com. Okay. It's a free discovery call with our team, and we're going to take a really close look at where you are right now and what it's going to take to build a brand that you're really proud to put out there.
Yep. It'll change your life, folks. Make the call. Make the call. We'd love to talk to you. Listen, we do this because we want to just offer y'all really good content. We want you to learn how to do this. We want you to be highly successful. We do this for prosperity. And when we talk about prosperity here at BrandFace, we're not just talking about money. We're talking about the full 360 of an abundant life that we truly wish for every one of y'all. We know here that BrandFace, that prosperity favors the bold. So we're always saying, be bold, folks, especially with your brand. I promise you it'll work. I promise you. So hit that subscribe button. We're going to give you more information all the time about this, and reach out to us. We want to help you.
Have a great day, everybody. Bye.